How's it going, everyone? This is GWR Studios, and today we are going to be taking a closer look at Edward the Blue Engine. Edward is the number 2 engine on Sodor, but did you know he was the first Thomas character ever created? And he's also one of the oldest engines on the island of Sodor. But who exactly is Edward, and does his real-life counterpart still exist? Well, for today's Sodor profile, we're going to take a closer look at Edward, and I'm also going to show you the real-life engine he was based off. So without further ado, let's take a closer look at Edward the Blue Engine. So first off, who exactly is Edward? Well, Edward is a mixed traffic engine that lives on the island of Sodor. Edward is a kind-hearted engine, and he's always there to help someone in trouble. Edward is a wise engine, but he's also pretty old, and because of this, he's often ridiculed by the other engines.
The driver won't choose you again. He wants strong engines like us.
But despite this, Edward always manages to get the job done, and even though the engines tease him, he's often there to help them out.
Got him! Thank you for saving me.
So what are some of the jobs that Edward does on the island of Sodor? Well, Edward is a mixed traffic engine, which means that he can pull passenger trains and freight trains. He's also been known to shunt cars from time to time.
Oh, whatever is happening?
Another fun fact about Edward is that his driver and firemen have names. Their names are Charlie Sand and Sidney Heaver. In fact, the vicar called the driver by his name in one of the episodes.
You look upset. What's the matter, Charlie?
Charlie, 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 Charlie.
Yes, Edward is a very important character to the show. He's very reliable and always tries his best. But what I'm sure you guys are wondering is, does the real-life Edward still exist? Now what I'm about to show you is the real-life Edward. Edward was built in 1896, which makes him one of the oldest engines on the island of Sodor. In this rare picture, we can see what the real-life Edward looked like. Edward is based off a Furness Railway K2 steam locomotive. These engines were built to pull passenger trains as well as freight trains. Only 8 of these engines were ever created, and sadly, none of them exist today. They were all scrapped. One of the biggest misconceptions about the Thomas and Friends show is that Thomas was the first character created, but the truth is, Edward was the first engine created. As a matter of fact, if it wasn't for Edward, there would be no Thomas and Friends. Let me explain. Before there was Thomas the Tank Engine, there was a man named Wilbert Awdry. Awdry was born in England in 1911, and he grew up loving trains. When his son became sick with the measles in 1943, he would tell him stories about trains. His son loved the stories so much that he decided to write them down. This is one of the first drawings Awdry drew. You can see Edward on the left. Awdry wanted his stories to be as realistic as possible, so he based his stories off of real events and real engines. Here's a rare interview from 1984, where the Reverend is talking about how he created the stories.
How long ago was it that you actually wrote them?
They were first published in 1945, but I'd written them in 1943, when my son, age 3, had measles.
Yes.
He had to be kept amused.
Yes.
It was just as simple as that. Edward and Henry were names that just came out of my head.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. The Reverend was telling these stories to his son, not knowing that one day they would be told all over the world.
I bet you never thought it would take off like this when you first wrote these stories in
I
1943.
got no idea at all. I just told them to amuse a sick child.
And did you write them down before you told them, or did you just make them up as you went along?
I just, for fun, I drew engines standing in a row. Now there was a blank, their smoke box, and it was natural to fill the blank in with faces.
After being pressured by his family, the Reverend decided to get his stories published, and the first story was about Edward the Blue Engine. The stories were such a success that they ended up becoming a TV series, and the rest is history. Although the K2 locomotives no longer exist, their legacy lives on through Edward. Edward's hard work and dedication is an inspiration to us all. He's a reminder that no matter what people tell you, you can accomplish anything. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you liked this video, be sure to stay tuned for future episodes. Again, thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you real soon.